It had been a very long day. It was dark outside and pouring rain. Brian was anxious to get home. So he locked up the shop and climbed into his pickup. And as he was driving down that country road, he was thinking about his business. So preoccupied, in fact, that he almost didn't see the black Mercedes on the side of the road. He slowed down as he came upon it to see what was going on, and he noticed that the left front tire was flat. So he pulled over to see if he could help. He got out of the truck and walked in the rain over to the driver's side window. The woman inside rolled the window down just enough that she could see out. Brian saw in her eyes that she was afraid, so he tried to reassure her. "Don't worry, ma'am, I'm here to help. If you'll pop the trunk, I'll get this tire changed for you in a jiffy. By the way, my name's Brian, and you can just stay right here in the car where it's warm and dry. It won't take too much time." She smiled at him and nodded and popped the trunk. Well, Brian got the tire and the jack out and got down there in the mud to change the tire. It took a little longer than expected because it was dark and muddy, and he scratched his hands and bumped his head, but he did get it changed. He put the flat one back in the trunk, along with the jack, and walked back over to the driver's side window. This time, the woman rolled the window all the way down, thanked him profusely, and said, "How much can I pay you?" Well, he wasn't going to take any money. He said, "Oh, no, I can't accept anything. I just stopped to help." He said, "That's what we do around here. But if you want to pay me, you can pay it forward." And she looked at him a little puzzled, and he said, "The next time you find someone in need, go out of your way to help them. Give them a little assistance. Don't let this circle of love and kindness end with you." Well, she was grateful, and she smiled at him and got back on the road. He watched until her headlights disappeared. And then he started up the truck to head for home because all he wanted now was a hot shower and a good night's sleep. Well, a few miles down the road, the woman came upon a diner. It looked like it had been picked up and dropped right out of the mid-60s. There were two old gas pumps outside, and there was an old Pontiac in the parking lot, the only car there. Well, she was hungry. She realized that she hadn't eaten in 6 or 7 hours, so she pulled into that parking lot right next to that old Pontiac. She went to the diner door and opened it, and as she opened it, she heard that old familiar chime, signaling someone in the back that a customer was here. Right in front of her was an old cash register, you know, the kind with those big round buttons that you push. She says it reminded her of the telephone of an out-of-work actor, those that don't ring very often. She looked around and she saw a long counter with red stools, a few scattered tables, and a line of booths against the wall. So she picked out a booth and went and sat down. Back in the back, she saw a woman sitting at a table with her back to her. The woman was filling salt shakers or pepper shakers, and soon the woman got up, turned around, and walked over to her with a smile. She noticed that the waitress was very pregnant, probably 8 months or so, that her uniform was stretched to the hilt, a little torn and very stained, that the woman was walking slowly. She was obviously very tired. She had probably spent the whole day on her feet. Yet she was kind and welcoming, and she suggested the woman try the soup, telling her that she had just made it and it was really good. So the woman took her up on that offer and had the soup and sandwich combo. And it lived up to her expectations. It was exactly what she needed. The waitress came over with the check and they had a little bit more small talk. The woman gave the waitress a $100 bill, and the waitress had to go into the back to make change. But when she came out, the waitress noticed that the woman was gone. The Mercedes was gone. And she thought to herself, "Oh my, I hope she knew that she gave me a $100 bill. And wow, what a help this money will be." And as she stood there at the table, she looked down and she saw a napkin with some writing on it. So she picked it up. And underneath the napkin, 5 more $100 bills. The napkin said, "Someone helped me out today. If you want to pay me back, pay it forward. The next time you come upon someone who needs some help, support them. Lend them a helping hand. Don't let this circle of love and kindness stop here. Well, the waitress's eyes filled with tears. She was overwhelmed. This money was going to help so much with the new baby coming. They needed so much. She wanted so badly to tell her husband. So she closed up the diner. It was closing time anyway. She got into that old Pontiac and drove home. When she got home, she immediately went into the bedroom and saw that her husband was sound asleep. She didn't want to wake him because he worked very hard. So she decided to tell him in the morning. So she went into the shower and cleaned up and climbed into bed next to him. She kissed him on the cheek and said, "Don't worry, sweetheart. Everything is going to be okay. I love you, Brian."